All right. I'm not I'm not sure if there will be any first responders, military, law enforcement, search and rescue, firemen that would see this, mayors, politicians, whatever. But my first step as a city official or city first responder to a cyber attack or an EMP attack, it would be to first realize that that was the problem. Realize that you have a cyber or EMP attack. The best way to do that is to get your law enforcement that you can together or firefighters that you can together and spread them out and just look around and come back and then start sending people that you can possibly to other places, right? So I don't know, say you live in X city, there's another city 30 miles from you. Send somebody over there to look at it immediately in all directions so that you know for sure that this is a credible attack, right? Now, in all likelihood, you're probably not going to have the government tell you right out the gate that this was an issue. But you will want to control this issue as fast as you possibly can. And maybe you're just a concerned citizen that has you can see it and you have access to these people and you can say, you know what, hey, chief so-and-so or sheriff so-and-so, mayor so-and-so, this is what I think happened, and start looking at it and thinking about it. So what I would do if I were you, I would do as fast as I could, I would shut the city off. I would put roadblocks up and I would not let anybody, I'd let people out. If they wanted to leave, let them out. But don't let anybody in, right? Unless they have somebody. You can still be reasonable about this and say, okay, I see that this is a family and they're trying to get to their other family here and we can prove that, let them in. But the ones that want to go out, let them go. Because we don't want a confrontation to start. But we want to make sure that nothing evil can come in. So, use your best judgment against that. That's where you got to go back to being an old cop and profiling, right? The new world way of not profiling, throw that crap out the window, and this is when you profile. So, what you do is you shut down the city, and you bring in all of your police officers, you bring in all of your National Guard, and then from there, you let the police officers and National Guard and anybody that you know bring in citizens that you know that are good people, right? So there are lots of veterans and there are lots of retired law enforcement. There are a lot of concerned citizens that are good. I would be one of them, right? I'm former law enforcement. It would be a good thing for the sheriff to come find me, deputize me, ask me if I know any friends, which I do, find and deputize my friends. Why? Because 1, we're armed, 2, we're of sound mind, and 3, we're patriots and we want the best for our family and our country, right? So what would we do with that? You bring us, and now you put us on patrols. You put us on roadblocks and you put us on patrols where we're patrolling in groups, 2, 4 people. And what you're doing is you're trying to stop the crime in as fast as you can in as many places you can. You work 12-hour shifts, 12 on, 12 off, and you give them 1 day a week off, and you rotate that through. And you start coming together as a community to organize the food. So get the word out to cook the food that they had, make jerky out of the food that they had. Then you take over the Walmarts and the Targets and whatever food sources you have, and you take care of those. And you disperse the food as needed. And then what I would do is, while you're doing all this while you're waiting on government assistance, I would start protecting the livestock that you had in the area, because very soon afterwards, like if you have a dairy or a cattle ranch just right outside of town, people will shoot them cows to eat them, right? They'll shoot horses, they'll shoot goats, they don't care. When they're hungry, they're going to shoot whatever. I would focus on hospitals. You may not be able to keep every hospital in your town going, but what I would do is I'd focus on getting everybody to one hospital. And I would realize this is important. If it's a cyber attack or an EMP attack, you're going to have to realize that a lot of people are going to die. Nursing home people are going to die. Anybody on medication is going to die. You have to realize that. So that's when you have to do the hard truth, the hard part of it, and you have to say, should I keep you alive or should I not waste my resources? That is a tough decision that I would never want to make. So that's something you really got to consider is if you're that leader, you better be thinking about this in your head right now. So there are a lot of people in the hospital that just aren't going to make it. They're just going to have to pass away. It sucks. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. And you're going to have to get that hospital ready to take care of people that are able or still, able to provide for the community. And you're going to have to keep that where you get all the meds together so nobody can raid those. You get all the good doctors together and you get a group around them to protect them so nobody can hurt them because, doctors are going to be really important. And if you can organize the town like this, right? And if you could remember it like this: bullets, band-aids, and beans, right? So you recruit law enforcement, you deputize them, and you can weed them out. You can say, okay, look, I'm going to take one sheriff's deputy that I have now and I'm going to put him with 4 other guys. And if at any time he thinks any of those 4 other guys are bad, he gets rid of them. Even if that means he shoots them, I don't care. But probably not that far. But you're done. You're not a law enforcement officer anymore at this time for emergency purposes. And you get ex-veterans, you get ex-police officers, you just get normal guys that are willing to say, yeah, look, I'm going to stand guard at my place. I can think of a great example would be like my father. 65 years old, great man, never done anything wrong in his life. Then he would be a good one to say, okay, I need you're in charge of your street, right? If anything goes on in your street, you're in charge of it. And so that's how I would set that up. And then you got station patrols, roaming patrols, outside your city patrols. So what's going on at all times. That covers your bullets. And that covers getting the unruly people out, right? And they're probably going to they're going to fight. It's not going to be pretty because you're going to get little pockets of people. They may not even be gang members, right? So in our mind, we think they're going to be gang member bad people. But the truth is they could just be a bunch of buddies who are like, I saw this coming and I'm not putting up with this and I'm doing it on my own. And so they bust out and they leave. Or they bust out and they fight trying to get something. So it won't be pretty. It'll be nasty. But that covers your bullets, your Band-Aids. So you get all of your essential stuff into one hospital. You keep that one hospital running, right? You run it off of generators. Maybe you got to move generators from one hospital to another. You move all the meds over. You move the doctors over and you rotate them so they're not worn out, and you take care of their families and you protect them. So your bullets go around your Band-Aids, right? That covers your Band-Aids. And then your beans. So that'll be the toughest part of it. I would suggest trains. If you're in an area where there's a train, I would go look through that train, especially if you're anywhere on the main line, right? That main line goes from Chicago, Amarillo, through New Mexico, Arizona, Winslow to California. So if you're anywhere on that main line, I would find the trains. I would find old warehouses and I would take city control of them. And with the city control I took over them, I would start protect them, get them into one place, and then be able to disperse them. Maybe not get them into one place. You can still have them at multiple places so that all your eggs aren't in one basket. But then you start dispersing it to the people, and you start working together as a community to keep yourselves together with the bullets, the Band-Aids, and the beans, right? Until you can get the help from the government or from NATO or whatever. I think that's really important. At that point in time, how it depends on how prolonged it is, that you could take some other steps to long-term survival. Now, here's the next most important thing. If you are now a city official and maybe you're put in this position and you decide that, it is on you, that you're in charge and you're the one that sets this up, here's what you can't do. You can't stop having elections, maybe 2 years into it, maybe 3 years into it. You can't take total dictatorship power. Everything has to be a vote. It cannot be just up to you, right? In the very beginning, when you're trying to save lives, that can be up to you. But as it goes through, everything has to be a vote. That's how we're built. That's how we're made. And to be honest with you, you're not that smart, right? I'm not that smart. As a group, you can be smart. But you by yourself, you're not that smart. And don't let that power go to your head. Because if you do, you basically create your own little nightmare and you're the bad guy. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, that's what I would do. That's how I would set my cities up. I wouldn't let people in or out, especially as weeks went by. Unless they, let them out, but don't let them in unless they had a reason to be there. And especially as it continues on. Take care of the bullets, the Band-Aids, and the beans. You have a lot of people that are good people that are volunteers that will help you out and do the right thing, especially if you're on it from the beginning. And then you create a gigantic community, right? Maybe your town's 30,000, maybe it's 200,000. And you create a community that's working together to survive the events that are going to happen. Anyway, that's what I would do if I was a city official or first responder, or maybe you have influence and you can talk to them, have them watch this. Anyway, guys, just some stuff to ponder on.